Oh, I didn't know you were doing that. Uh, okay. Good evening, folks. Um, Everybody can hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I guess nobody can hear me. Nobody wants to answer me. Everybody's asking where it's Trudy. Okay, thank you, guys. Trudy is in the background this evening. I was expecting this comment. I guess I should start the show off by explaining the picture of the great, the goat himself. I'll give you guys a quick story about how that picture came about. If you guys are not interested, give me a thumbs up. So I'm not waste my time. But I think it's a good story still. It was a lesson learned in the system. So if you want to know, give me a thumbs up. If you want to know how that picture came about. It's a nice little story that I like to tell people because it's once in a lifetime situation that you get to meet the goat himself. Okay, so let me tell you guys what happened. So in my other life in the entertainment business, we had a big client that was scheduled to perform at the kickoff celebration, welcoming party, kickoff celebration for the World Cup in Germany, which I think was 2008 World Cup. So we're going to do this event, and it's in Berlin, at the Brandon Gate in Berlin. And you guys know Berlin is historic when it comes to when West Germany and Germany existed. So they had this massive celebration in Berlin for that reason. So anyways, we scheduled to do this event, and like it's a worldwide televised event. And in this kind of event, everything is scheduled down to the second. So we had to be like, make sure that everything is in place, everything is the way it should be, so there's no hiccups on our side. Got to Berlin the day before the event. got the schedule, the final schedule for the event that will tell us when we go in to set up, to do sound check, and what time our client's gonna be on stage. So I got the event, got the as I land in Berlin, I saw the schedule in my email. Open the schedule on the bus from the airport the to the hotel. And a little country youth from St. Mary, Jamaica, is reading the schedule, and whole and behold, on the schedule it says introduce Pele. And below that is when our client performed. And I'm like, when you start getting butterflies and your stomach start feel away, and I'm like, there's like 3 of us in the group that really understand what Pele means. The rest of them are North American Canadians, have no clue. To them, the GOAT is, most of the crew, to them, the GOAT is Wayne Gretzky. So I'm like, I touch my friend, my brethren, Luge, and I'm like, Luge, Pele is on the schedule. He's like, what? I'm like, yo, look at this. Pele's on the schedule and he's right before us. The Luge is like, man, like, what are the chances of we actually getting to meet him? And I'm like, knowing these massive events, I'm like, yeah, the chance is going to be slim to none. He's going to be surrounded by tons of people, all that stuff. So I'm like, oh, well, but, you know what I mean? We'll see what happens. So I'm so excited. I'm talking about this in the bus. The rest of the guys in the bus know, like, who is Pele? If you guys see on Facebook, when I posted, a couple of guys that was in the group with us were like telling the story about me explaining who Pele is. The Jenna Jameson thing is a whole different story. So they didn't understand the importance of Pele to the rest of the world outside of North America. So I explained to them who Pele is. Everybody understood. They know what's going on. The next day, show day, we did our thing, set up everything. We're there the whole day. We have, these things are massive and proper hospitality, green room, everything. We're comfortable. So come showtime now, the schedule is laid out what time we have to walk from the green room to the stage. This is a national televised event, so there can be no dead air. So they want you backstage like 15, 20 minutes before you go on. So everybody's got to be in line, so there's no dead air. You can't be in transit from green room to the stage when you're supposed to be on stage. So they have wranglers, they have people who keep bugging you. You gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. Anyways, we're at the green room, and I know we're coming up, and I know I'm there standing there, and I'm like, yeah, Pele must be backstage right now. He's gonna go on. So we got these 2-way radios we travel with. You guys know those 2-way radios. And on the radio, my crew, my stage crew, start yelling over the radio. They're like, Ray, Pele is here. Pele is here. So I'm standing there. The client is there doing final touch-ups and stuff. Like her and her immediate assistants were there standing, and the radio is going off, and these guys are just yelling, Ray, where are you? Where are you? Pele is here. Pele is here. And I'm like, I'm just standing there, and I try to turn the radio down, and the artists look at me and like, what is that about? And I'm like, Pele. She know who Pele is because her family from Europe. So she know who Pele is. And she's like, just give me 1 minute, we're gonna go. So we start walking, and they're still asking on the radio, where are you? Where are you? We got backstage. There's a holding tent backstage. So the whole deal is, once I'm with the client, I am not leaving the client side until the client gets on stage. In this case, I'm standing there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to go figure this out and see if I can see Pele. Because once my client goes on, once Pele comes off and go wherever he goes, I don't know where he's going to go. I may not see him again. So I'm like, I'm standing there, and client turned to me and said, "You can go." And man, I head out to that tent, and I got backstage. There's a ramp going up the stage, massive stage, festival stage. Going up the ramp, and he's surrounded by like security, all these people yelling Pele, Pele. So he's gonna go on stage. Somebody's gonna introduce him. He's gonna go on stage, do whatever he does, and then he's gonna leave. But he's standing there waiting for the person to introduce him, and all these people around him. So I try to get closer to him, and they're pushing me back, me and my crew, and like all my boys are with me because they want to see this Pele and they want to see the excitement. So I have an all access pass because our client was massive at the time. So we got all access pass to go anywhere. So where he is where she would enter. So I have access. So I'm just like going up the ramp, and the security is like, "You can't go." So I just flash my pass, and the boys flash their pass, and he's like, "Okay, go through." So we're acting like we're going to the stage. And we just stop right where the crowd surround them, people with cameras, you know how the paparazzi, and they're snapping, whatever, and he's shaking people's hands and whatever. And I'm like, people are just yelling, "Pele, Pele, Pele." And I said, I'm standing there, and I'm trying to get his attention, couldn't get his attention. And his back turned to me, talking to somebody else. And I said, "Mr. Nascimento." And he turned around. And once he turned around, I just jumped in that position. You see the camera, see the picture? I jumped in that position right beside him, and my guys are ready with the camera to take the picture. And he and I had a small talk about football, whatever. Took the picture, and he said to me, "You're the only one call me by my last name. Everybody's Pele." He's like, "Where you get that from?" And I'm like, "That's what real fans do. They know. When you know, you know." And he's like, "Okay, good. I got the picture, and I was out of there, and I didn't see. We did the show. I didn't see Pele after that. We searched hospitality after we performed. We searched green rooms. Nowhere to be found. He exit the building, exit the property. Apparently, he had to go to Frankfurt or somewhere for the first game. But he was out of there. And so that's what happened with that picture. But the fact that I didn't let the whole crowd and everything stop me from going after my moment with Pele, that was how that picture came about. It's massive moment in my life as a little country youth that just heard about Pele, idolized Pele as a baller, and never thought in a million years that I'll be able to stand beside him, shake his hand, and have a picture with him. So that's the story behind Pele. So let's send up some prayers for him, because the reason I post that today is because I saw, while watching the game, I saw that he was transferred to, what they call that, where they're waiting for you to pass. Yeah, he's in bad shape. And to be honest with you, Pele has given so much to the world with his talent and the game. And if there's any time Pele is going to exit this world, this is the time he should. If he's going to go, he needs to go before the World Cup ends so he can get a true worldwide tribute on the biggest stage for football. So if he's going to go, if God say, "Yo, this is his time," this is the time he should go so he can get a proper tribute. Because I know that it would be massive, know that the world is looking at football. So that's the story. Anyways, we're here tonight to talk about kidding season. I know a lot of people may be in the middle of kidding season or going into kidding season. We've been in kidding period since October on and off. We have a massive group coming in December. The and closer to the end of the right before Christmas, actually, like 14 mothers or 15 mothers that's gonna have kid close right before Christmas. So I figured Judy always say, yo, you got to repeat these things over and over in order for people to get it. So I figured tonight I will go over again, getting ready for kidding. And if anybody here that's new, that doesn't, that's never been through kidding or haven't been exposed to information when it comes to getting ready for kidding season, this is your moment to absorb some vital information, because if you're doing good numbers like kidding 15, 20 mothers, kidding season is no joke. Kid management is no joke. Getting mothers ready for kidding is no joke. Getting yourself ready for kidding is no joke. So where I would like to start is the 1 month period or 6 weeks to a month before your mothers have kid. That's where I'd like to start. If you're new, this is iGoat Chat, and we talk about everything to do with goats and small ruminants and small farm business operations, best practices, all of that. So if you're new, this is what this is about. Remember to share the link to all the different groups that you're involved in. If you know somebody that's interested in this kind of information, feel free to share with them. So everything that I'm going to talk about tonight is based on our experience at Cobra Ranch and what we do, the best practices based on our research, based on advice we get from more experienced farmers, veterinarians. Big disclaimer, this is not veterinary advice. This is not for you to go do anything that a vet should do. Right? So this is just best practices that you should subscribe to if you feel like it fits your operation. Everything we do and everything we tell people about is what we've done on Cobra Ranch. And we'll tell you what works, tell you what doesn't work for us. Doesn't mean if it doesn't work for us, it won't work for you, because your operation could be completely different. However, the things I'm going to talk about is things that over years of different farmers, successful farmers, trial and errors, these are the best practices that we find out there and things that we have tried and it works for us. So let's start with the 6 weeks to a month before your mothers are due to kid. What we have done is we pull those mothers in off grazing, right? We pull them in off grazing, keep them in, and we do a full assessment on their condition, body score condition, their FEMACHA score, hoofs, all that stuff. We do a full assessment on them to see where they are health-wise, find out if there's any animal in there that needs assistance with supplements or mothers, because keep in mind the last month, 6 weeks to a month in pregnancy is when these mothers' immune system is the weakest. So if they have a little worm load going into that last period, that could become a bigger problem because their immune system is weaker. So you have to pay attention to these things. So what we do is wherever the area in the goat house that they're going to go, that area is completely cleaned up, sanitized, and get rid of any previous stuff that may be there. So when they come in, they're coming into a fresh, clean area. and we do the assessment there, and that's where they're going to be housed till they have kids, right? And if you've seen our operation, we have kidding pens. We have standalone kidding pens, and then we have kidding pens that we build as the mothers have kid, right? So we do an assessment, figure out who needs help, who may need some deworming, who may need some vitamins or supplements, because as I said, the last 6 weeks to a month of the pregnancy is vital. It's when the most growth takes place in the fetus. That's when the mother's weakest in her immune system. And a big advice here is that when they're at that stage and the fetus is growing fast, there's less space in there for them to eat and store food. So it's recommended that at that stage you start supplementing their nutrition with concentrate grain so they can have more energy and they get more out of it, because there's less space in there for them to store food. So you have to supplement it, right? Especially if they're carrying twins or triplets, it makes it harder on the body. So at that stage too, Dr. Young get to it before I did, is it's the best time to vaccinate these mothers. So she talked about colostrum. I'm glad the vaccination, so they can pass on to the kid, right? Yeah, there you go. Vaccinate the moms at least 6 to 4 weeks before due kid. Just there you go. So it passes on to the kid. So that's the best time to do your assessment, do housekeeping, take care of all those prep things health-wise for the mothers. That's the best time, 6 to 4 weeks. We do 4 weeks. And the reason we do 4 weeks is basically because, it's easier management, that we just say, 4 weeks before, put it on a calendar. And based on our system work, that's the time when space usually free up. And we have the time to make adjustments, move animals around, clean up, all that stuff. So that's the best time. Now, this is something I'm happy Dr. Young is here tonight. During that time, that 6 weeks to 4 weeks, when you start adding concentrate and feeding the animals more nutrition so they can be stronger, have more energy, there's a couple of things you got to pay attention to. If you don't supplement their nutrition, you could have a major problem on your hands if these mothers are carrying twins or triplets. There's a thing called pregnancy toxemia. And pregnancy toxemia is usually, it comes on or affect mothers from two things mainly: poor nutrition management or stress. Poor nutrition management is kind of self-explanatory. I'll get to that. But the stress part is usually where some people from my experience really don't understand what could create such stress to animals. It could be weather. It could be the rainy season and the goats have to deal with, wet conditions, sleeping in wet area, or being exposed to cold, windy days and nights. That adds a lot of stress to them, and that could create pregnancy toxemia. Or it could be traveling. You could be moving them from one location to another, and that level of stress can bring on pregnancy toxemia. Now, the nutrition thing is poor nutrition. Remember, as I said off the top, they need extra energy. They need extra feed, high energy feed for them to be healthy carrying these kids, right? So if you don't, if they're not getting that, then their body gets weaker and it starts affecting their body. Could affect their eyesight, could affect their balance, could affect their appetite, could affect a bunch of things. But at the end of the day, what it does is get the animal sick, and you could have a problem with abortion, or the mother just gets sick and can't carry the kids, and you have kids that will die within or born dead. All sorts of things can happen with pregnancy toxemia. So it's important. See, Dr. Young says it usually happens with multiple fetus because it takes a lot more out of the mother to provide nutrition and everything for multiple fetus, right? So you have to be mindful of the nutrition you provide for mothers that are pregnant in the last 6 to 4 weeks of the pregnancy. And then again, you have to be cautious of how much concentrate you give them, because if you give them too much concentrate or feed them too much and they get fat, then that becomes another problem, because usually the fat is it's on the inside, layered on the inside of the goat, and that could create less space for the fetus to grow, and you end up with another problem. So you have to be mindful, and I suggest that you consult with a vet or consult with the nutritionist for when you're feeding grain concentrate, because we all know Jamaicans love fat goats. But a fat pregnant goat is not a good thing. That's not healthy. You're asking for problems. So you got to be mindful of it. What we do is a pound of concentrate per animal per day. We find that works for us, and we get kids that are born within the 8 to 9.5 pounds, which is good, healthy kids that can quickly get up and start feeding. We do not want 10, 11 pound, 12-pound kids. I'd rather not have those, because then we end up with another problem of hard to give birth, like mothers struggling to give birth. Darren has a comment here. Some of us feeding concentrate through gestation. Llama ram or milk booster, good forage and concentrate, plus a fortified B12 shot at 3 months means zero preg toxemia. I don't know. You have to ask Dr. Young about that, because as I said, everybody's operation is different, right? And it's about how much of that concentrate you're feeding. What we do on our farm is we basically assess our situations, and we only provide supplements to the animals that need it. We do not blanket goats or a herd with supplements. We do not get them used to depending on supplements to perform. We only give animals that need supplements. We know what our levels are when it comes to our standard for body conditioning score, like what the goat should look like, what the Fibonacci score should be. And we keep our goats healthy that way. We don't blanket the herd with medication or deworming or supplements. Only the animals that need it gets it. So, Darren, if that works for you, then fine. For us, we're not going to do that, because every 3 months, we are like a couple of years ago, last year, we did every 2 months, 15 to 20 goats that are kidding. And I'm not doing B, B, B12 shot unless goats need it, because that's an extra cost, extra input that I have to provide when they don't need it. Proper feeding, good quality forage, good fresh water, and just proper observation work for us. I don't believe in just extra inputs because because then your animals, to me, well, I'll just speak for Cabo Ranch, can't speak for nobody else. Cabo Ranch, we find that our animals that get less input in the form of supplements and vitamins and everything, those animals are the better performers on the farm. The ones that have to keep, yeah, the ones that have to keep giving vitamins to or deworm or supplements, try to get rid of them, because the, they never stay at a certain level. Once I stop giving it to them, they look good for a month, 2 months, and then they start dropping off again. Then I have animals that never, the only time they've ever gotten an injection is for vaccination. And the only time they ever get any supplement is kidding. When they kid, we give them hemoplex in the water, and that's it. And the only reason we do that is to give them a little bit of energy so they can, because, kidding is a stressful event for them, and we want them to feel energized and bounce back real fast. So at the 6 to 4 months mark is when we start adding concentrate to them, give them a pound each day just to supplement their intake. And we always make sure they have fresh forage, fresh cut up grass to 24/7. And we, before the milking program, we were averaging 51, 52 pounds weaning average daily weaning weight. Since the milking program, we've dropped to like 48. But we had this conversation at iGoat chat before Dr. Young said, yo, that's acceptable because we're taking them off their mothers at 2 months instead of 3 months. But as I said, when it comes to nutrition, if you don't understand it, consult a nutritionist. Everybody knows, like everybody here should know by now, that that's what we've done over the years, is consult with people we know have more experience, and consult with the nutritionist locally and abroad on what are the best practices when it comes to feeding the animals. And hence we came up with this way of dealing with the animals when it comes to kidding season. Now, once we pull our animals in at the 1 month mark and do the assessments, treat animals that needs extra care. We take the time to do hoof trimming. We take the time to vaccinate and all that stuff. Check for external parasites, all that stuff you check, because now they're not going back out until, for another 3 months. So they're going to stay in and they're going to get the TLC, we call it. They're going to get all the love and care and observation, and we prepare for them to have kids. There are certain things that you need to have on the farm for kidding. We've been through this before, but I'll go through it again. There's veterinary gloves, the long gloves that comes all the way up. You guys should make sure you find those and have a box of those for kidding, because you will need them in the event that you have a birthing problem, right? You may need to assist the mother, so you may need to go in and help pull a kid out. Now, if you're not experienced with that stuff, I suggest you consult a vet because that could get tricky. But you should actually take the time to learn how to do it. Um, so that's one, the gloves. Then you should always have iodine, strong iodine. We use 10% iodine. We have, and we dilute it a little bit, but you don't want it too strong that it burns, but you want it strong enough that it works fast. You know what I mean? You want it to work fast to dry up the uh, the navel, string, big and avoid any infection. Um, we do a spray. Some people do dips, but we spray and spray well and pay attention to it after to make sure there's no infection. But make sure you have iodine. Um, Make sure you have Emoplex, or now it's called Nutrimin. You need that, or any electrolyte or whatever, to provide some extra energy for the mothers after they have kids, because it's stressful and a lot of energy used during the kidding process. You need that. Then for us, we use omega-3 for the kids as they're born to give them a little kick so they get up. And in the event a kid's born weak, the omega-3 helps them. But it doesn't have to be omega-3. You could find another product that works just the same. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of those products on the market for newborn kids. There's quite a few of them on the market. You know what I mean? That you can give the newborn kids to help them get a little energy. Um, I mentioned the long gloves. You could do the short gloves also for handling the kids. If you don't have to go in, then you can use just the shorter gloves for handling the kids. Um, what we do also is we store dry straw, whether we cut the grass and let it dry out and store a lot of it for bedding. So the process is, once the mother have kid, we do the spraying, make sure the kids suck, and we prepare that pen for them to be warm and safe. Like we had slatted floors, so some kids are small kids. The feet may go through the slots. If you blanket the floor with dry straw or hay, old hay or something, then it minimize the kid's leg getting stuck through the slots. So we we always store dry grass or dry or old hay or something for that purpose, and it keeps the kids warm and they avoid slippage through the slots. So, and when the mother has to pass out um, after birth, or any after birth fluids or whatever, that bedding can help to absorb it, and then you can just clean it out the next day. So that is another thing you should always have leading up to your kidding period. Also, so I've gone through the gloves, omega-3, Nutrimin or Hemoplex, the straw. Am I missing anything else? Judy's in the background. Judy, remind me if I'm missing anything else. I think those are the main things we have. You know what I mean? Outside of the regular stuff in the case of a bigger problem. Those are really the main things we use for our kidding. Those are the main things. And you should make sure you have those things. You do not want to be that guy, according to be the man, or that woman that you're going through kidding, you don't have gloves to deal with the kids, you don't have, something to help the mother regain her energy, or you don't have something to help the kid get a little boost of nutrition or energy in the event you have issues. Um, always, always store colostrum from your mature mothers when they have kids. That's that's a must. Store colostrum. We store it in ice cubes in the form of ice tray. So then we can just, how you get that ice cube out of the trays, twist and whatever you get, four of them can feed a kid or something. And we always store them. So in the event that a mother has kids and there's no milk, or there's a problem with her udder, and you know you're not getting the milk or the colostrum, you have it on hand, right? Remember, always, when you when you when you go to have kids, make sure they're dried off as soon as possible. If the mother is doing a good job of it, do not intervene. Let her do it. That's her job. Let her do it. But also remember to provide a dry, warm place for that kid and that mother. But we don't intervene with a mother's job. Um, yes, Darren, I was getting to that. I was gonna say the other stuff that are for more like medical reasons, for medical purposes, where you're gonna need a vet to help you through this process. It's like oxytocin in the event that the mother hasn't passed the afterbirth and stuff. Anything that you have to that's prescribed, or injection or other stuff, I suggest you consult a vet if you're not familiar or not experienced in doing it. And every one of these things are based on body weight. All these injectables or drenches are based on body weight. So you have to understand that the dosage is based on body weight. If you do not understand that, you need to consult with a vet. And in order to consult with a vet, you need to have certain information, which is an approximate body weight for the animal. You know what I mean? So Oxyvet, Darren put it up here. Oxyvet is definitely antibiotics, broad spectrum antibiotics. Oxytocin it also helps with the contraction, the mother contraction, to pass after birth, or help push to get the kids out. From my experience, I am not a vet. Dr. Young, correct me if I'm wrong. Nipple bottle, like, yeah, that's in the event that you have to bottle feed kids. Colostrum, I mentioned that. Ironol, I don't have that. I don't really use it, but it's there. Anything when it comes to these things, oxytocin, Oxyvet, all those medications should be used under the supervision of a vet. Consult with your vet. I never tell people how to use these things or when to use them. If you have a problem on your farm that require these things, you should consult with a vet, because they're all different purposes, all different usage for different reasons. So I do not advise people to just go ahead, give an antibiotic, give a dosage of oxytocin, or whatever it is. No, consult with a vet. If you trust another farmer that's more experienced than you, and you trust that they're not going to give you bad information, then by all means. But from my experience, I would rather take a video of the animal and send it to a vet and let them give me their opinion or give me some instructions. So that's our best practice. See, Dr. Young says oxytocin is very dangerous. Um, Maximilian, in the event you have no milk booster, no cholesterol, and the mom has no milk, is there any emergency homemade recipe you can share? These things do happen. Well, I've known people that have talked about using Ensure. They use what's the next one? What's the other milk one in Jamaica? Yeah, there's a bunch of them in Jamaica that people use in the event, and all it's doing is providing a little bit of nutrition, really. But I don't think it provides the animal with what's needed. But it's a stopgap to maybe save a life, right? Milk replacer you should always have on hand in the event that you're gonna have to feed a kid long term. Always have milk replacer. You know, if you're new to this and you don't have any of these things, as I said, consult with a vet. Consult with a vet. I'm not going to endorse any of these other things that you can use. I can say I see people use these things, but I'm not going to endorse them because there's no information to back up that they work. You know what I mean? I'm not, and I don't want a man say, yo, me hear this, but I could chat them say you can use Ensure, or you can use like what is next one? I can't remember the name of them. But we do not endorse that. What we endorse is consulting with a vet. And remember, you can consult a vet online. We're living in a time where you can go online and you can get in proper information from a veterinary website. You know what I mean? So you can, if you can, if you have data on your phone, you have Wi-Fi at home, and you have a smartphone, you can get the information you need to help you. You can get it. But we're here to help people arm themselves with the basic necessities to have a successful killing period. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people information. This is information that we should be talking about all the time, sharing with people. And here, iGoat chat, that's what we're trying to do, is to share this information with people and get people to understand that it's not that hard. You can get iodine at the pharmacy, right? You can get gloves at the pharmacy. You can get the vet gloves at Hypro or wherever farm stores. You can get those. So everything that we're talking about is available locally. All this stuff is available to you locally. You just have to make the effort to go get them. The short gloves, you should always have that on the farm. So that's not an issue. You know what I mean? So if you don't have the long gloves, you can have the short gloves, but you need to understand how to wash your hands all the way up to your elbow properly. Put on the short gloves, whatever, and so you can go in. You do not want to go in with dirty hands and dirty arm and all that stuff. So that's why I said off the top, consult with your vet. Consult with your vet before you attempt these things if you are not experienced with it. Always consult with your vet. You know, or as I said, an experienced farmer, a mentor that you trust to give you the proper information, and go with that. Peter say if you're serious about gold business, all these things is a must or a close of shop. Well, yeah, it's just basic things. Dr. Young said they're shoulder length gloves. I think the ones we have go up to our shoulder. I think they do. I don't know how far they go. They go pretty far. I don't know if I need it all the way to my shoulder. Maybe that's for cows or something. But the ones we have, I think, go all the way up to our elbow or something. But we use them a few times already, which is surprising. Like those big kids, man, those big kids that I don't really like having 11-pound, 12-pound kids. You see, Nutramix sell them too. Hypro sell them. Farm stores sell them. So all these supplies, you just got to ask people. Make a list. All this information is available online. And now it's available in a discussion form for you to share with other people. And we have participants here that are giving thumbs up to everything we're talking about and giving us extra information. We're blessed enough to have a vet in the space that is adding to the discussion, that's giving us positive addition to the discussion and giving us word of caution on some of the things that we think we should use, but be careful how you use it. We have to give thanks to the likes of Dr. Young, who's willing to come on and here and participate and let us know that, yeah, some of these things are all good, but be careful how you use it. Be careful. Caution. You know what I mean? So, yes. Now, in the event you get to kidding and you have issues, like let me keep this real, because I know that us Jamaicans like fat goats, like Darren said, him feed all them goat, them concentrate all the way straight every time. There's a possibility that you may end up with a big kid that the mother can't deliver, or you may end up in a breach situation. You have to understand how to deal with that. You have to be able to recognize the problem you're having. So you shouldn't be scared to, once again, wash your hands, clean up, put your gloves on, and go explore in to find out what's the problem. Do you have a breach situation? Right? If you have a breach situation, that's another complicated issue that you may need professional help with, or you may need professional guidance. Right? So I post on in iGoat chat, I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago, a breach, some pictures and context of breach, different form of breach in goats giving birth, right? And so I'm gonna show these pictures again here because it's important that people who are not experiencing this stuff have an idea of what is happening inside that they can't see, right? And so I'm gonna try to show these images so people can see what I'm talking about. Let me know if you can see this. Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. I don't see no thumbs up. Maybe they can't see it. Let me know if you can see this, folks. Give me a thumbs up. Darren, I see your comment. 90% of farmers learn to help themselves. 90% can't afford vet services. So that's why it's important that they learn these things and get into the idea of consulting. You know what I mean? Both feed companies provide free vet services, but you just have to have a good relationship with them. So maybe you can send them a video, or you can, if they have time, you can do a video call and show them what you're looking at, and they'll help you. You don't have to get somebody to come out for everything, but they can help. They can help from a short video or a video call to let them see what you're looking at. All right, let's talk about the breach situation, right? So this is what a normal kidding is. This is how the kids come out normally, right? That's the first one. Now, there it is coming out. All of us here have been through kidding and observed or witnessed kidding. I've seen this, right? They've seen this. I know I have many times. If you haven't never seen a kidding in real time, give me a hand. Show me your hands or something. Let me know if you've never seen a kidding in real time. Now, this is the first one breach where they're coming butt first. So in this position, as the text says here, this is very likely to come out without assistance unless the kid is very small, right? And when feeling around manually, that pointy rump really does feel like a nose. So you got to understand the difference. The tail is usually tucked under, making it even worse. Feel farther up and you'll feel the relatively flat rump and the hips instead of a dome head shape. Feel down and you should encounter the recognizable leg structure. So if you're a farmer, a goat farmer, sheep farmer, these are the things you should familiarize yourself with, whether it's in video form or picture form here. Be familiar with what you should expect in the event you have to deal with it. Darren, you may want to look at that. We've been kidding for 3 years now, 4 years, 3 years, and I can count on one hand how many breach we have. So you may want to look at that seriously, Darren. Okay, so next breach is that back leg up there. A variation on the breech position where a hawk pushed into the birth canal. The kid cannot pass in this manner. Intervention will be required in both cases. If your doze in labor and pushing hard, but you cannot see any feet in the canal, this is the most common issue. Your hands are small enough, scrub up, get to work. If it's not, it's time to call the vet. I keep saying it, consult with your vet. Have a good relationship with your vet. Now, these ones are going to show you what how you should go in and what you should be looking for and how you should approach dealing with the breach, right? The first step is to push the kid gently back into the as you slide your hand down to a hook. Hook your index or middle finger around the hook and slide it down towards the fetlock. Next, you see it in the next image, right? Let me show you the next one right there. And this is an advanced technique that some of us should, or all of us should familiar ourselves with. They're using a string or a device to assist with the breach. It says one leg loop in place, one leg loop in place, and your spear hand not shown in this image. Fish out the other leg, ideally with another noose carried on your fingertip. So this is some advanced stuff that if anybody here ever tried that, Dr. Young ever tried that, let us know. But it tells us that there are advanced techniques out there that we can utilize and have better success. And it's less stress on the mother. Because trust me, I'm pretty sure it's hard for a mother to have a hand up there feeling around, doing all that stuff and pulling. Here's another brief position. And this one is, as it says, is quite daunting. It can be especially problematic if there's several other kids in the womb, or if it is our single kid. Some try to turn the kid in the womb. I would normally follow the steps in the previous image, and when I have a string around both hind feet, I will gently in a twisting path to the right kid before the rib cage enters the narrow birth canal. Again, this is an issue because of the blood flow cut off of the umbilical cord. So it's, to me, when I first saw this presentation online, it was mind blowing to me to actually have real visual of what's happening in there and the different ways of how this stuff happens. And there are techniques in place to deal with it, how to rectify it, how to save kid, save the mother, etc. There's techniques out there. Here's another one. And anybody haven't seen this before, it's on the iGoat chat group where you can go and see the source of it and go through all the context and the content that's posted with it. Here's another technique to pull the kid out in a breach situation. Has another device. Here's another breach position. It's it's mind-blowing when you actually see these illustrations, that the many different ways that a kid could have problems coming being delivered. And what I like about this is that they give you a way to rectify the problem. And I'm definitely going to look into this device if I can get it on a farm. And that's the last one. So let's start back on the top. A normal delivery, first breech position, another breech position, a way to assist, right, and rectify the breech, another breech position, another breech position, a way of different breech position here, and a device and a way to rectify it. So there you have that. I think that was important. I wanted to share that again because a lot of us have breach situation, but we really don't understand what's happening inside. And it's we have a better success rate if we understand what's going on, if we can recognize it. If we can have an illustration that helps us figure it out. Anybody have any questions? Any questions? I guess we don't have any questions. I'm doing such a great job. Everybody understands completely what I'm talking about. I'm doing such an amazing job. People get it. People understand every aspect of what I'm talking about. Or they could have just said, "Yo, I'm done with this. This guy's boring." But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to touch on is dealing with kidding problem, which usually manifests itself in breach. There's various different opinion on how long you should give a mother if you see there's difficulties, right? If you see there's a challenge with her delivering, how long should you give that mother? For us, it's usually about an hour before we start exploring to see what's going on. Some people say 2 hours, but we usually we see that if we see she's pushing and the kids coming and we recognize that, oh, she's about to kid, but that kid's not coming and it's about an hour, kid's not coming, we're going in to explore. And we usually figure out if it's the feet, if it's the foot we're seeing, or it's a head, and then we assist. But we like to make the mother figure it out, let her do her thing. We're not quick to jump in. We like when a mother does what she's supposed to do. But we also are very observant and notice if there's a problem, we're jumping in and we're helping because we want to save the kids and want to save the mother. On the farm, we try to save every kid. And the goat climate, the way the goat space look now, right, is like every kid could be $50,000. You know what I mean? At least. Well, on our operation with these graded animals, it's definitely minimum of $50,000. So you have to do everything you can to save a kid. Not to mention, if your mother is a productive mother, you don't want to lose that mother. Yeah, thanks, Peter. You know that we try to provide valuable information. You know, Peter's talking about his situation on the farm, and he and I had a conversation about what was going on his farm, and it has to do with kidding. You know, it has to do with breach and kidding. So he did the right thing. You guys saw his video. He did the right thing and seek professional help ASAP to save the mother and as many kids as he could save. So it's important to understand what's going on in order to have the best results. Any other comments or questions before we exit and call it a night? Here's a great suggestion. Print it, laminate it, and pull it up together. Hang them up in the goat house. Yeah. Like pictures tell 1,000 words or something like that. And I'll be straight up and be honest, a lot of these people that we have work on farms, they tell you they read very well, but they really don't read as well as they make you think. And pictures do better. Yeah, that is a great advice. Yes. Once they're born alive, keep them alive. Our whole thing on our farm is if they make it past the 48-hour mark, that's a goat that's going to survive unless he has an internal medical problem. Or no kid should die after 48 hours just because. No. If they make it past 48 hours, that's major success unless they have an internal medical issue. They shouldn't die because they didn't get enough milk. They shouldn't die because they're cold. They shouldn't die because of lack of attention. They shouldn't die for none of those reasons. None of that. If they make it to 48 hours, none of that kidding factor shouldn't be a role in them living. Because they should have enough nutrients in them. They should have enough colostrum, enough attention. We should be so observant to know that they're actually sucking and getting some from the mother. Yeah. For the first 48 hours is critical. And you should pay attention, close attention. Any other questions, suggestions? Another thing I want to point out, I know people like having massive kids that are huge, 10, 11 pounds, 12 pounds. But my humble opinion is it could be a problem. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that farmer that has to sleep in a goat house. to save kids. I want kids that are going to born on their own. Mother's going to deliver on their own, take care of their kids. I love to get up in the morning and see kids bouncing around that born the night before or whatever without any problems. So based on my experience and my consultation with more experienced farmers and veterinarians, that 8 pound, 9.5 pound is a sweet spot, especially for the type of animals we have in Jamaica, graded animal. Native usually is a little small, 7 pounds, whatever. But for us, the sweet spot is 8 pound, 9.5 to 9.5 pounds. We love those kids. Those kids get out there, born within a minute, they're up and looking for the udder and sucking, and they're strong. The big ones is a problem to get out, and it's only mature mothers and big mothers deliver them with ease. But I don't want to be babysitting and staying up all night for that. So another way to avoid that is control how much concentrate these mothers are getting. Consult with your nutritionist and don't overfeed. Do not overfeed. Concentrate. It's not a good idea. Anyway, so that's it for the night. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for participating. Thanks to Dr. Young for hanging out and giving us her expert advice. Thank everyone for participating. And remember that I see Peter's note here. He has a lot of work to do with kidding. Remember, it's a process and you learn every day. You learn something new every day, especially for your own operation. You learn what's the best practice for you. And keep good records so you can compare the last kidding season with the current one or last year's to this year. Keep good records. See if you improve on birth weight or you're stable with your birth weight, but improve on weaning weight. And keep record of which mother struggle with kidding, which mother didn't provide enough attention, which mother didn't have colostrum, all that stuff. Keep good records so then you don't have the same problem kidding season after kidding season. All right. So thank you guys for being here. Thanks everyone, and have yourself a great evening, a fabulous rest of the weekend, and we will see you all next week. Thank you to Trudy in the background that's pushing buttons and letting me know when I'm missing anything, putting up questions and all that stuff when I don't see them. Much appreciated. So see you guys.